for a year in my former company, and I have quite a bit of experience doing solar in Africa as well, but not in Nicaragua, not directly in South America. So that's pretty cool. So what I was going to say is, I found that a lot of countries, like at least the ones I visited in Africa, either had no net metering policies, or the policies they had were kind of like the ones you're talking about. Or I don't want to name the country, but there was one country I was in Africa, I'll say that, and they had some net metering and they even had some solar benefits, but after things were installed, they didn't actually, what's the word? They didn't honor those agreements. So that was problematic for developers.
Yeah, it's something like that here in Nicaragua. Like last year, that was the first year that we implement the bidirectional meter with the utility
Yeah,
company. So it is very difficult without the right policies.
absolutely. Right? Yeah. Yep. That's
And,
very
and the
true.
other thing here is the financing aspect of every single project. We don't have a bank that could finance the systems, and has been a nightmare for me to try to get into a bigger project, you know.
Yeah, I ran into the same issues working in different countries in Africa, and it usually fell apart. I mean, I had a bunch of projects I was working with the archdiocese in Ghana, and I was working with a couple universities, a couple bigger developments. And when it just came down to that final issue of funding, it would a lot of the projects got stuck or stalled out. And like the archdiocese had money, obviously, the Catholic Church, but they is an issue between accessibility of funding, not want to spend their own money, and net metering policies. And it's really hard to do work with that many obstacles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can help you with any questions, because I don't have a lot of any experience in your part of the world, but do you have any questions you're hoping I could?
Talking about the financing, like here in Nicaragua, we have nobody wants to pay the full price of a project of, I don't know, 200 kilowatts system or something like that. What do you offer over there, and what are the steps that you do to try to develop something like that?
Well, again, I've run into this, so I think it's very similar. I did my background is I ran a solar sales and installation company for over a decade, and I did commercial projects, I did utility projects. And when I did my commercial projects, especially even the utility ones, we always had a financer, if not 2 or 3 financiers available. And sometimes we would bid those projects with different financiers to see who would, be the best bank or the best institution to finance the project. When I tried to do projects in Africa, 0 of them, none, wanted to touch a single project that we were doing there. It's just like the banks or those companies, they just don't operate in those territories. So this whole sort of idea that I think my experience was, a lot of people thought, oh, Brad, maybe some of your funding sources you're using on your projects in the USA, maybe those guys would be willing to fund our projects here. And I probably spent 4 or 5 years doing projects in Africa, and I never once found a single financer in the United States that would finance a project in Africa. Now, I'm not saying that that's also true for today, and it may not be, and it may be different in Nicaragua, but that was my experience. So where I'm at now is, you know, I probably, for me, I wouldn't work with something or work with someone on a project who didn't have funding, you know, and that funding was secure. Because I've also worked with several governments. I worked in Burundi, I worked in Nigeria, I worked in Kenya with the actual governments with their funding. And where you would think there was stability because it's government funding, I found it was, in my experience in those countries, it was not good. Like the government supposed fund, and some of those countries, a lot of it's there's a lot of corruption, and it wasn't worth my time to deal with that. Yeah. So I'm sorry I can't be more helpful to you regarding your question for funding. But it's a really tough situation to try to get one country, unless it's some international company that has both, both operations or, facilities in both countries. But even if they do, it doesn't mean that they're willing to, just because someone's willing to do something in the US doesn't mean they'll do it in another country. So yeah, it's a tough situation. I wish I could be of more help, but it's not something that, again, I'm not actually currently involved in it. And my past experience was, not good with it.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Stella. Welcome. It's always wonderful seeing you here.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Do you have video today, or is it just
Well, I think that it would be best for you and your guests not to have my video. I was running a little bit late, and I'm in the middle of baking and cooking, and I'm a mess.
What are you baking and cooking?
Apple cobbler, lentil, sausages, different meats.
Ooh, sounds
Like a
nice.
stewish, like yeah, it's getting a little bit cool and breezy up in Northern California. And there's notices of blackouts all through California. And so I want to make sure that dinner's ready. I have a couple little ones running in for dinner after school. And so I need to make sure dinner
Okay.
and everything's ready. We just got the notice last night.
I'm curious. I understand why they do have the blackouts, and they have the scheduled power. I understand why the utilities do that on very hot days, and even perhaps on very cold days. But on a day like today, why would they do that?
There's no transparency from the California governor, and he just kind of somehow, cuts.
You like to talk about?
No, I've just been studying some AI to, wrap the whole thing up with adding that to, marketing and that type of thing. So I've just spent a lot of time putting that together for and the training for my solar team and preparing. It's a little bit difficult because I'm new to AI, number one, and number two, because I'm trying to do everything for a solar team that's not door to door. It's mainly, home-based business 1099s. But on the other hand, I want everything that's automated to be able to slip right into a call center. And so, yeah, it's a little bit tricky due to my lack of knowledge in the subject. So setting up AI, as much
What
as I
exactly do you want the AI to do?
Mainly the marketing instead of cold calling out. My previous call center was inbound calls, And I just feel that cold call personally, I'm not knocking it, but I just feel that that is a lot of time that people use on that. And so why call a bunch of people that are iffy or frustrated with the calls coming in, the invasion, and instead of that, have them be interested and then them call you. So I'm creating the marketing to target those people
Yeah.
with AI, which I know exactly because that's how I did the previous call center. It's just getting all of the emails and the texts and the this and the that together so that it's very systematic and easy, especially for green people coming in for their sales training.
No
How to
pun
use
intended
it
on
all.
no pun intended on the green.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, but where you said that getting the emails, like where would the leads come from though? Are the AI bots like crawling Facebook DM, doing Facebook DMs, or like where would those emails and the leads come from?
Well, that's where my lack of knowledge comes in because previously I used to do paper advertising. And so, rag sheets, free publications, that type
Yeah,
of
it's like
thing.
get your
And so,
solar here, get your solar. Come on.
right, exactly. And so, well, the phones never stopped ringing. We usually always had a queue. And
Yeah.
so I'm going from that to AI. And so I'm trying to make it feel as organic as possible, but not be like every other Joe Schmo out there. So it's mainly to make the client interested in then giving us an opportunity to educate them. In California, you're slipping into leases instead of loans due to our, state situation and the the banks, the dealer fees and all of that
Yeah,
going
yeah.
up and
Yeah.
all of that. And so now I'm, had to go and, interview watch the stats of the different lease companies that are offering it. And a couple of them took quite a nosedive. So I was going with one and then I was watching their stocks and I said, ooh, these guys are going down quick. So I walked
Who are
away
you
from that
referring
one.
to?
Oh, I don't really want to say because I don't want to, add to any negative press or
All right,
anything negative to
pause the
that.
recording. We'll during that. Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And so when they put, just panels on, then they have a blackout. Well, there's nothing
yeah.
they can do. They're just like everyone else, but they've been educated that way previously. And so trying to undo that story is, and then it changed their payments, it goes up and everything. But it's like, look, this is not just for show. This is not keeping up with the Joneses. This is a necessity if you want to survive, especially the state of California with the fires, with the blackouts, with the utilities tripling. My brother's utility tripled in 1 month.
Wow,
And yeah, he just told me that about, last week. And
that's
so,
called feeling the pain. Yeah, yeah.
and there's nothing that you can do about it. And
So I
so,
want to go back though, Stella, to the conversation on marketing. I know we've talked about marketing a few times at the AMAs, but there's something you said which to me resonated with me, which is your experiences in working with inbound leads, and
mhm,
that's your comfort level. I'll
mhm,
tell you this. Besides door knocking, which I admittedly did for many, many years, my company, 100% of my leads were inbound besides door knocking. And even
mhm.
door knocking, I always felt to a certain extent, it wasn't the same as cold calling, because at the end of the day, like they express interest, it is cold calling, but it was a little bit different. And I'll say this, I've worked in the last couple of years with a number of companies that have call centers, or call centers doing in different countries, doing cold calling, doing age leads. I work with companies that, they're primarily door knockers. But for me, as a business person, I was always looking at multiple things, time and effort. People don't realize the amount of time and effort it goes into running a door knocking organization. It is unbelievable amount of time and effort to grow and scale that well. Same thing with a call center. Like, you need to have really dedicated and experienced people there every single day. Leah knows this. She's on the call. Like, it's a lot of work because you got to make sure everything is done right in that call center, or your success rates won't be, as what they need to be, or, there's a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of management. That is why, for me, in the years I was in business for over a decade, I always liked things that I could grow and scale without having to have tremendous management teams and reps and, that sort of thing. So to me, it all came down to this equation of, well, quantity and quality, of course, right? Because everybody wants a lot of leads, but they want quality. No one wants a lot of bad leads. I was speaking with someone the other day. Who was it? Oh, Wayne, you'll get a kick out of this. He turned on a TikTok campaign and he got 200,000 leads from this TikTok campaign. Now, I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but like, I think
200,000?
200,000. That's what he said. Yeah.
How? Yeah, I don't tell the truth either.
Yeah, I think it was a national campaign, but the issue was imagine you have 200,000 leads, but 195,000 of them are 9-year-old and 12-year-old kids filling out a 3-question form. It's like, you know how much money you're wasting and spending? One, on the click through, and two, on, let's say you have, a few thousand that are good in that. Now it's like a needle in a haystack. Like you're going to spend so much time sorting through like all this junk to find the good ones, right? So I was kind of joking with him the other day, and what you want is you don't want a bunch of volume like that. That's terrible volume. You never want that. But you want high quality, you want a high quantity, both, but you also have to look at time versus money, right? So running a door knocking organization, again, it's very successful in solar, but it's a lot of time. Running a call center, again, it's a lot of time put into it. Now, it can be both of them can be low cost. But for me, I looked at things that I could scale at lower cost, lower time, high quality, high volume. And, those things came down to, for one, really doing everything you can in your local area to bring incoming traffic. So number one, any area you're at, the first thing is set up a Google listing. Everybody these days goes on Google and they're looking for a solar company, or they're looking for ice cream, they're looking for a restaurant. You go to Google, you read the reviews, right? That's like the first thing. So spending time getting a Google listing up and starting to hit reviews. And that's like a whole nother topic, making sure you get reviews. We can talk about that. The second thing is going into any place where, again, it's free, where you can network and introduce yourself to the community. So every single one of your reps and everybody you're going to be working with, Stella, should be in the local Facebook groups in the text. So like any local Facebook group, if there's 6 towns in your area, 10 towns, like join all 10 of those. Introduce yourself in a very polite way. Hey, this is Stella. I'm local. I live here, and I am in the solar industry. And again, you're not trying to like make a hard pitch. Just say, if you guys have any questions, or if anything, if you have anything you ever want me to look at, feel free to let me know. I'll give you my unbiased opinion. I won't try to sell you anything or anything like that. And when you do that, you create goodwill and you create trust in those communities, as that actually can work pretty well. And also like Nextdoor, if you guys, it's very similar to a Facebook group, but the Nextdoor app, which is just NEXT Nextdoor, it's free. It's just, you know, you download the Nextdoor app and you join the communities that you live in or that you want to sell in, and you do that same thing. So you're already creating opportunities for people to reach out to you, you know, with the Nextdoor, with Facebook. Those are two really good techniques for someone, again, to bring inbound leads. And you can even, you know, now you have to be very careful on these platforms because they're probably not going to want you to have links or anything like that, but you can have people directly DMing you. And once the people are reaching out to you one-on-one, you can bring them to, like, you know, a calendar page or something to book a consultation and those type of things, right? Or to, like, whatever your, you know, a landing page or lead form. So those are two really good ways, you know, that are actually no cost other than time. Now, can you really scale with those two techniques? You can't really scale, but if you have, so let's talk about numbers, like real numbers, like real numbers. The average solar consultant in the United States is closing, you know, maybe 1 to 3 deals a month. And it's actually closer to the one, the 1 or 2 a month. You know, you want your average solar consultant in a company that's, you know, doing well to be closing 4 to 6 a month minimum. And if they're better, 6 to 10 in that range. I had guys closing 20 plus deals a month, my best guys, right? So, but let's use that 4 to 6 number. If they're doing what we call digital door knocking, which is the Facebook group, the Nextdoor, they could probably get, I mean, very honestly, 2 to 4 deals a month, just digital door knocking alone. So when you think of that, it's like if you're trying to hit an average of 4 to 6 and they can get half their deals, you know, just a couple conversations, a couple people do a month by doing that, it's like such a huge bonus to your business. Now, again, it's not enough to keep their calendar full, but it's going to be a big bonus to their business. So it's a, you know, it's definitely something I recommend. Have any questions, Stella, any questions on like how to implement those two strategies, or that you know, the digital door knocking strategy?
Oh, no, not at all. I actually originally started business to business door knocking with merchant accounts.
Nice.
Yeah, my background is finance, my education. So I slipped into merchant accounts, and that's where that's what I did my call center with. But when I started off alone, I was business to business. And the only people that I went to was when I first found they opened their new business. I took literally, this is so old fashioned, walked over to their new business. They weren't even open yet. I got the lists because I started taking coffee and bagels to the person in charge of the new business listings at the courthouse. And so I was first picked to get the new businesses opening up. So I would just go over there, I'd drop off my business card and tell them I will beat any price anyone else offers you. And so then they would call me, and then it would open up, but I wasn't calling them. And, you know, we didn't have anything AI or anything, you know, going, this is, you know, years ago, over 10 years ago. So that's how I started before I started virtual. And how I'm going to do it this time was, instead of spending so much time on the phone, because I trained my people to do pretty much one-time calls.
Yeah.
And in those days, the follow up was, we would just keep lists of our own follow ups. We didn't have the, you know, we only had like very basic spreadsheets, and the employee needed to keep up with their follow ups. But I kept very, very close stats on their follow ups and stuff like that. So, but AI is doing all of that now, where I didn't run into trouble. I just wasn't aware of it because nothing was automated in those days. But a lot of the time that was taken on the phones, I have now switched over to retrieving that time for us and letting the AI do the cherry picking. So the AI can do the cherry picking. And then once the person says, yes, I interested, then they have to fill out the information that I used to have my people on the phones fill out.
Yeah.
But now it's like, if you want to take a next step, I need to know this information to help you. Send a
Right.
copy of your bill, or, you know, how old is your roof? How long have you, how many, what two names are on the title? I mean, all of the really important information. If they're willing
I-
to fill out
So-
all of those questions, then I will say, okay, let's see if you qualify. And then that's when we call them back.
Stella,
So-
are you using it to qualify leads or to actually get
Yes.
leads? Like where are they coming from though? Where's the original lead coming from? If the AI is just
that's where the-
qualify.
that's where the marketing comes in. It can come from various places. It can come from a cold calling play, you know, in Mexico or in Philippines. It depends on how much money you want to spend, how you want to go about it. It's just, I don't want my people doing the cherry picking, my people doing the calling. It can come from Facebook ads, which actually Facebook ads, I have noticed the percentage of Facebook ads that come in are actually pretty low, and they are just kind of calling around. They're not, you know, which is fine, but at the
So
very
you're doing all of
beginning-
those methods that you just said? Do you have a call center and you're buying from a call center in
No,
Mexico? You're running Facebook
I-
ads?
No, I don't have a call center right now. I'm putting it all together right now. And
Okay.
this is, how my brain works is probably different than anyone else's. I say, this is how I want things run. This is my end result. How am I going to get to that end result? What steps do I need to take? And I'm filling in the steps to get to my end result. And my end result is to return to inbound calls. And the step further that I'm taking with solar, because I'm going from merchant accounts to solar, is to have them fill out all of that information to save time on the phone. Don't want to do the Zooms, don't want to do all of that. Want to do just the straight close. On the application, it will also say, has anyone discussed solar with you? If yes, great. Or do you have any questions? And then that way the AI can just kick in any objections that, you know, they may have. And
So
so
I'm
really,
gonna jump in, Stella, just because we have someone new just joined. I want to give them a chance too. But one thing I will suggest, and we can come back to this once we, you know, give Moisen a chance, is, for example, the CRM that we use, the Solar Launch CRM, pretty much everything that you're saying is built into it. So the ability to a system where all the leads can go into it, and you can set up the AI bots to respond to chats and link that to social media profiles. So the one we use, is a, what do you call it? It's a agency account through Go High Level, which most of them these days are. So
yes.
that's another way to look at it, because a lot of the functionality you're looking at can probably be done without you having to recreate the wheel using a CRM system like that. And I actually did a lot of research on this not that long ago, and I've used Salesforce, I've used Zoho, Sales Rabbit, and many others over the years. And in my opinion, right now, Go High Level for what you're
Yes.
trying to do is the most user-friendly. So
I agree completely. Yes, that was my choice.
yeah, cool.
Thank you.
right. So
Good to
Moisen,
know.
welcome to the call. Welcome to the AMA.
Oh, hello. I'm from Boston,
Okay.
and I joined your group. I'm curious about this industry.
You look like my friend Armin from Boston.
Oh, okay.
Are you Armenian?
No.
I
I'm
have a
actually-
friend Armin the Armenian. Yeah.
Oh. And I'm in real estate,
Okay.
and I did import and export business. And I want to
Okay.
look into solar because it's the right thing to do nowadays. It's something that's gonna help society, I think, in the future with all this high prices of energy and stuff like that. So I'm interested. I'm in learning process.
So-
That's why I joined.
Do you have any specific questions you want to ask me?
I'm listening. I wanted to know what's the best way to get in. Is it to work for someone, or if it's possible, if I can start something? I'm in Mass, and I have my wife too can help.
I am also
So,
in Massachusetts. How did you hear about us?
oh, you are.
Yeah, I'm in the Worcester area.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But I
I
used to
see,
live in
okay.
Newton for years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So I think it was Facebook. I was looking up groups, solar
Okay.
groups, and your group came up. So,
Okay, cool. So
was it-
to answer your question, is Moisen, is that how you say it? Moisen?
yeah, Muzian, but you can call me Mo.
Moisien.
Yeah, Mo.
Moisien.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right. Just give me time. I'll eventually get it.
yeah.
So to answer your question, a lot of people do start by working for another company and they, give after 6 months or a year or two, then they start something. What I specialize in is helping people skip the line. I've been in solar for over 13 years, and for over 10 of them, I ran my own solar sales and installation company. And I've done literally thousands of residential projects, commercial, utility scale, traveled to Africa 6 times doing projects, did the first National Grid battery installation for their connected solution program here in Massachusetts. I actually did the pilot program with National Grid. I did the first utility scale battery plus solar installation for the town of Sterling about 5 years ago. And that was the first for the whole entire Northeast that ever integrated batteries and solar at that scale. So when I sold my company a little bit less than 2 years ago, what I've been doing now is helping people like you skip the line. So with our program, the Solar Blueprint, it's developed for anybody, regardless of the background. But real estate people we've found tend to have the right skill sets and finance. Stella, who's on the call, has a finance background. But people who are used to transactions and like real estate or insurance tend to have a pretty natural transition. Also because you're used to dealing with people too, because solar is about people. So basically what we do with the Solar Blueprint is we give you everything you need to be able to start an actual solar company, be up and running in a week. So that's going to include all the trainings you need. So from A to Z, after a week, your brain will be exploding, but you'll have everything you know to get going. We also include what I was just talking about with Stella is the systems. So you'll have, we set you up so we make sure you'll have all the proposal tools you'll need, the CRM to track your customers, and not just something, you're scratching something on a notebook or a spreadsheet like 10, 20 years ago. We use advanced systems. It's got hundreds of workflows, AI built into it, automatic emails, automatic SMSs, all those things are built into the system. The third piece we provide is we basically teach you how to do the lead generation, which is the most important part. So we teach you not just to do the sales, but the lead generation so you can get customers right away. And one of my business partner who's on the call with us, Wayne, he actually has been a digital wholesaler for 20 years. So for those who are serious about growing and scaling a company, we can help them through the whole digital world of like lead gen. And that's one of the things I was going at too, Stella.
A lead wholesaler.
Yes,
I just want to clarify lead wholesaler because it doesn't. You just
What
said
did I
wholesale.
say?
So I don't want to make sure he thinks I'm wholesaling like solar panels or something.
Oh, what did I say?
Just wholesaler. You just said like this digital wholesaler, without the lead part.
Okay, he's a
That's all.
digital wholesaler.
Just clarify.
Am I saying that right? Okay. Plus, the other part is the community and providing you that one-on-one sort of coaching. So you have that opportunity. Like I was working with a guy yesterday and he just said to me, he's like, Brad, he's like, I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Just keep me going. Keep me going.
so kind.
So that is a part of it as well. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, and you also provide the training for like doing site assessments and learning the software and all that stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I will say though, for most people, we'll send out the link. I think we send out this link every week now that to the 6 business models of solar after this. So we'll send it out in the email that goes out to everybody. You'll get that as well. Muzian, am I saying it right?
Yeah. You can just call me
Mo.
Mo. That's fine. Most
What?
people, yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Mo, just call me
Mo.
Mo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I had a friend and his name is, I've always known him as Mo. He was like, he married my friend. So I was introduced to him as Mo, and I didn't know like for years later he was a Mohammed. I'm like, you're Mohammed? He's like,
Oh,
he was like, yeah. I was like, I never knew that. I've known you for like 5 years. I just thought your name was Mo. I had a grandpa Mo, but he was, I guess, a Morris. So, anyways. Anyways,
may I ask a question to Mo? Or just real quick in just 1 or 2 sentences. I don't want to take up Brad's time. What I'm just interested in, what real estate exactly are you doing? I come from real estate family. Are you
Yeah,
doing right now?
residential and rentals in the I do rentals when the school season in the summer of the school season, because Boston is a school town.
Alston and Brighton, right?
Yeah.
Do you
And I
mean
do-
property rentals, or do you mean
Yeah. Property rentals for most of
yeah.
some.
So are you doing
and
any
I do
lease to buy with property, with residential lease to buy?
No,
Lease to
no,
own? No.
No.
Okay.
just regular
Agent
sales. Yeah, regular.
sales.
Yeah.
Very
sales.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
thank-
one of the things, like,
Congratulations.
we've been looking a lot at what's been happening in the real estate market, and I'm sure you know, obviously. So real estate's down 28% from last year, with solar's up 24%.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
the solar industry is expected to basically triple over the next few years. And it's one of those things where it's like, when you want to start a business, there's obviously practically unlimited options, but one of the most important factors is having the right vehicle. There's a great actual interview with Warren Buffett, and he talks about him and his roommate in college. And he says, we're both smart guys. We both went to a great school. We both like worked hard. His roommate went into steel, like American Steel. And as smart and as good as he was, there was a ceiling on it, right? Where he went into financial services and he turned into who we know Warren Buffett to be today. So I've had a very similar experience when I got into solar 13 years ago. Before that, I mean, I was an urban planner. I worked for the government. I never made more than 50K a year. And within my first few months, I had paid off 100% of my debt. Like all my credit cards, everything was paid off, which seemed impossible. I then opened up my own solar company about a year or so later. And next thing I know is, I was real estate. I had never bought a house of my own. Sometimes I forget. My brother and I did buy a condo when we were like 21 years old, but I had never bought a house of my own. I was married. I wanted to have my first home. And I remember looking at starter homes in the area, and I ended up looking at my home, which I saw as my dream house. And I was like, one day I'll get that house. And when I called my accountant, he was like, Brad, you can afford that house. So I ended up buying the house, almost 6,000 square foot house with the swimming pool, 5 acres of land. And then I bought the land behind it, the actual land in this area, which is a very high area of development now. And I bought the 68 acres of land behind house for cash. And that was all from solar. So I saw what this vehicle and the opportunity it has provided for me, to the point I was able to exit comfortably, about 2 years ago from my previous company. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity here in this. And one of the greatest joys I have is, like, some of my former employees now own solar companies. And one of them 2 weeks ago went away to Italy, with his family for a few weeks. And it's like, it made me like, you feel like a proud parent. It's like, it's like,
Yes.
You know, it's like, he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to Italy with my wife, and he's got not quite a newborn. I think his baby's like 6 months old or something, but pretty much, newborn. And, he's able to travel, to go to Italy for a few weeks, and because solar put him in a position to be able to do that. So those are the type of things that, like, at this point in my career, my life, that bring me joy, to see other people successful and thriving and doing those things. So, and if that's something, you want to talk it, we could schedule a one-on-one, and I can go more into depth with that, how that works. Cause I don't want to take up, the whole time here. So I know we have other people on the call, but do you have any questions about that before I move on?
Yeah, now
no.
you program, when you did your company, did you do local, like New England, or you sold all over the state?
I did the whole state. I did do some projects in a few other areas. But the way things are now with the internet, Mo, and Stella and I had talked about this before, because she's got networks of people in different states. It's just different than it used to be with the internet. Like, you could actually have one sales organization selling in 3 states that aren't even connected. You could say, we could say, oh, I want to sell in Massachusetts, Texas and Florida, or whatever states you decide, and you can sell in those states. So or, you may say, oh, look at Philadelphia as a hot market right now. I don't want to sell in all of Pennsylvania. I just want to sell in Philadelphia because they have a cool solar rebate right now. So the flexibility out there is so much different than it was even 5 years ago, where you kind of were like stuck working with one provider in one territory. So it's a lot more opportunity, a lot more territory you can cover at once. I obviously don't recommend people who are just getting in to do multiple territories all at once, because that's, kind of spreading yourself thin, right? But what I usually recommend is come in, master a territory, become like amazing at that, and then rinse and repeat if you want to move to the next territory, and so on. Did I answer your question? Are you muted, or I didn't?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, we have about 9 minutes left on the call. Mo, why don't you do me a favor? Leave your contact, or you can DM me directly here, or
Okay.
just send it in the chat, and we'll schedule something. But we have 9 minutes. Any other questions or anything else? I forget where we were with the topic you were on, Stella, and our friend here in
I
Nicaragua
just wanted
too.
to mention real quick to Mo, if you're just starting out right now, use me as an example. I have spent so much money and so much time trying to figure all of, this whole automated system thing going, but I've done everything on my own. I cannot tell, I'm completely married to my obsession and my project. I have no life but this, which I'm not complaining because I love it. Now, if I was smarter, I would have met, seasoned, experienced, successful person such as Brad, and I would have jumped on his bandwagon and said, teach me everything you know. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to be coached. Now, if I would have done that, I would be easily into over $1 million in 12 months. Easy. I mean, not even a discussion needs to go into it. If you're just coming right out the gate, and I don't want to tell you what to do, I just want to share my experience. If I was just starting off today, green, going out the gate, I would be with a loudspeaker. Brad, where are you? I need you now. And that would just be what my educated decision would be today. At the time when I first started, I had never spoken to Brad. He had never spoken to me, so we're even. And from being a CEO and a business owner, you have the personality, and a Leo, you have a personality to take care of everything on your own and get ready to train others. But now I'm in a position because of Brad and Wayne's experience. I'm going, well, wait a minute. I need to really listen to their every sentence, because if you miss one gold nugget in this business, it can set you back. It's really such a gift to have seasoned professionals in front of you, such as they are, because this business is, how do you say, complicated if you make it like I did. Simple and easy and a smooth ride, like you have the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I
really
wanted to share with
appreciate
you.
that very much, Stella. And I'll tell you guys a story. I was the guy I was meeting with yesterday was a new client. He does solar installation, but he doesn't know how to do sales. And the last 6 months, he's been like trying to do solar sales. And we had spoken 6 months ago. And he was like, oh, I think I'll be able to figure this out on my own. I'm a smart guy and I know solar. He knows solar. He actually knows solar.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him like a week ago. I was like, how you doing? He's like, oh, I got 2 sales in 6 months.
Good.
And of course, both sales are from like, a friend or something, you know what I mean? So he kind of said the same thing to me. He was like, Brad, he's like, I don't know what I was thinking. It's like, he's like, but like, I get it. Sometimes like people are different. I am the type of person when I do something, like when I exited my solar company, I wanted to learn how to do coaching and consulting. So the first thing I did is I took courses online, and like, I went to like, I went to Dean Graziosi's course and Jeff Walker's course, and like different people who had courses for those types of things. Like, and not just anybody. I tried to, go to the people I saw was like the best at it, because to me, I wanted to avoid the learning curve. I didn't want to make the mistakes those guys made 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And, that's a personality type, right? But for me, that's what I truly believe in, which is why I do the service, because I want to help people. I actually just wrote something today on how I realized after being 3 years in business, how I had left like millions and millions of dollars on the table. And it was like, it's one of those things when you look back in hindsight, like, I can't believe that happened, but it was like, I didn't know, but even in the article I was writing, I was like, I didn't know any better. It's like, nobody told me, no one was there to say, hey, Brad, if you just change this one way you're handling, that was technically how we were handling our inbound leads incorrectly. And when I say incorrectly, we were a very profitable, scaling solar company. So it wasn't like we weren't successful, but you may say, oh, you did, 20 million that year. That's great. But it's like, well, what if I had done 22? That's millions, right? That's millions. What if I done 25? It's like, gee, it's like, that's a lot of money to like lose because you're not doing something the right way. So
we call it leaving it on the, we call it leave it on the table. And that's the first thing when you do scale in marketing and media, is you learn quickly that these little tweaks, it should always be testing, because these little tweaks can like literally cause you to leave a ton of money on the table, even though you're profitable.
Yes.
I'll tell one more
follow up.
I'll tell you what happened there. And I know what I saw you have your hand up. I was actually purchasing leads from a big national provider. And they were good. They were decent leads, but I noticed the contact rates weren't where I wanted them to be on these leads. And this was what's called a real-time lead. So a real-time lead means somebody filled out a form somewhere on the internet, that landing page, and it'll go right to us. And what he explained to us was, I thought, I had a whole system, I had a call center, and I had, how we would contact them. And I thought we were doing great. And when I went to go cancel with this company, he said, Brad, please explain to me how you process the leads. And I did, very, what do you call it? When you have like a lot of confidence, like, you know, you're feeling like, oh yeah, you think I'm doing it wrong. Let me tell you exactly what I'm doing. And you know, maybe not quite like that so bad, but that's how my heart felt when he kind of said, well, how are you processing them, you know? And I explained it to him. And then afterwards, like, okay, what you're doing is really good, but let me explain to you how to like double your contact or triple your contact rates. And I thought he was like giving me a line of whatever. And then after I implemented his system, it like totally worked. Like I was like, what? I was like, I was leaving all this money on the table this whole time. I can't believe it that, you know, it was this simple of a mistake. But that's like a lot of things are. It's like you don't know what it was. And that was literally 3, almost 4 years of business making that mistake. So, you know, it's just funny how those things work. All right. IRFG, our friend in Nicaragua. I'll give you the last question because we got 1 minute left.
Hi. Brad, how like a couple months ago I went to United States and I get into a Home Depot, and somebody from, I think there's a company, Sunrun, they offer me for one house that I have there a fixed price contract. I think it was for 25 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's either a power purchase agreement or a lease, but yeah, go on.
Okay. I understand that we cannot do this type of contracts here in Nicaragua because the utility company has the only permission to sell electricity here. So, but I was wondering in that moment, how was the finance system that this company Sunrun used for putting a lot of batteries, a lot of solar panels and inverters in my house.
Yeah. So how did they finance it? So I'll say it real quick because I don't mean to cut you off, but I do try to always end on time, and we have I know myself and other people have commitments. Look up Lynn Jurich. I'm not sure, Leah, you can look her up real quick and drop her in the chat. Or maybe, you know what? Let's see if we can send a story on Lynn. She's the founder, one of the co-founders of Sunrun. Like, she's one of my favorite stories in business in the last 20 years. She, great story of her working in Shanghai, China around the same time I was actually. And she was so disgusted by the level of pollution in the air there. She came back to the US and said, how do I put solar panels on every home in America? And she figured out a mechanism to finance it, which was what Sunrun became. And, you know, the fact that the solar industry and this amazing finance mechanism called a power purchase agreement or the solar lease was basically founded really by her and her sort of creativity. It's like, how can I finance this thing? It's one of my favorite stories. She's still with the company, as far as I know, unless something changed recently, to this day. So even like Stella, it's like, you know, I know what happens with Sunrun, but I always have a soft spot, to be very honest, for Sunrun, just because of her. I mean, very honest. Just because of her, I have a little bit of a soft spot.
Oh, yes. I hope and pray that they pick it up. Yeah, I really do, because we need those desperately. People need that financing.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people have, of course, replicated that over the years, but I would say look at their story and how they've procured financing, and it's not one time for a company like that to exist and continues. It's ongoing, you know, fun figuring out ways to secure that. It looks like Wayne just dropped that in the Atlantic on that. So guys, if you check out the chat, he just dropped a good article, so you can click on that and check out. I was
trying to search on her, but yeah. Thanks, Wayne.
Oh, it's such, back in 2007. It's really good. So check this out. So guys, all right. So I think that's it for today. Mo, I'll be in touch. We'll reach out. We can schedule a time. Stella, as always, it is always a pleasure to speak with you. And thank you so much for the kind words today. And thank you, my friend from Nicaragua. it's actually wonderful to have you on the call. It's such a great
Yes,
to see
I
the people from
appreciated
different
hearing
places.
Nicaragua call.
Yeah.
These calls are every Thursday at the same time, and they're free with a catch. The one catch is if you do know somebody that's really trying to get in solar, or somebody that Brad could help, because Brad's the expert here. Just please share it and tell them to be on the next one. That's all we ask.
Yeah,
So we can help more
I'll
people.
close it. Thank you, Wayne, and I'll close it with a joke.
A dad joke?
Ish, not really. You know,
Bad
if you
news.
if you have children around you, you can use it with adults. You just say, how much does it cost to do this? You say, oh, it's absolutely free for $1. How much? It's free for $1, and you just watch their brains break.
Exactly.
So, all right,
Before
guys.
we go,
thank you so much.
Brad, could I please ask for a one-on-one, and also to receive the different packages to choose? I really want to go over that again with you.
Sure. Yeah, we can hop on a
Okay,
one-on-one.
I appreciate it. Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll
So you
schedule
have
it.
my
Thank you,
phone
Stella.
number. You have my phone number right next to your pen, right?
I have your phone. Oh, yeah, of course. I've written it on my hand, Stella. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay. Yes. All
Okay.
right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for everything. Thank you,
Thank you.
Wayne. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.